This is my voice talking about Acura.
New for 96. With your hosts, Kevin McCauley and Chris Nguyen.
What do we got here on the table
I don't know.
besides
You said
993s?
we should do a shot. I don't know why.
You said you want to do a shot.
I know. I'm deflecting so that I don't seem like the problem person.
Oh, yeah. Well, I suggested we do it on air.
I don't know why you want witnesses for this.
It's an audio medium.
I guess we could just pretend.
Okay, so yeah, we're just going to pretend that when you hear some glugging sounds because we're very good actors.
Yep. Please don't spit this back up into the microphone.
Okay, well, no promises. Oh.
That's the stuff. That is some good hard seltzer.
Wow, so you said that's a 21?
Yep. 21 hard seltzer. Ooh, boy, that really warms the cockles.
Yeah.
Is that what that means? What is a cockle?
Rather not get into this.
Do we have to bleep out the word cockle? Am I
probably
only allowed to say
should.
cockle a certain number of times before the FCC rains down on us again?
They've already turned it off.
Yeah.
Even they're like, we've got limits.
It just sounds like the emergency test tone for an hour. So earlier, do you remember the 7th gen Civic, the Phoenix yellow color?
I don't know gens of Civics.
They're like the 2001 Gen Civic color, but I saw one today on an absolute like base unit one, and it looked pristine.
Okay, I'm gonna need like pictures of this. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Not now, but later.
Okay, fine. But it basically looks like Phoenix yellow, and it's called Inca Pearl. I had to look it up because I just remember that like being like in the advertising of the time, but I don't remember if it was being advertised on the regular car. It was not, you're right, it wasn't an SI color, but I think the hatchback did have a gold yellow color as well, like a metallic
The
yellow.
hatchback SI had that color. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
But I don't remember the coupe. But I don't really like that coupe very much.
I didn't mind it. I mean, I thought like the previous gen was better.
Yeah, one of my friends had the coupe, and actually, like when I was in college, my Ford Probe GT.
Yeah.
Pause for applause. Was it had no air conditioning,
Yeah.
and my friend was a tech at a dealership. And
Yeah.
he let me. I left it with him to try to like fix the AC or
Yeah.
like at least like put Freon in it or something.
Yeah.
And he gave me his Civic hatch to
Wow.
drive home, and it had air conditioning, and it was a long drive, so it was a great car.
Yeah, of course it was. I've never driven one of those, but
But it was just so disappointing after like the previous like SI and stuff. It's
Yeah.
not fair to compare the regular coupe to the SI, but
Yeah.
just the design always just seemed kind of decontented.
I did think in period though, that was a nice vehicle.
We haven't even clarified like which one we're talking
Okay,
about by year.
it's the
or
7th
anything.
gen. It's the 7th gen, I think beginning year 2000. So
Okay,
beginning
yeah,
year
that
2000.
sounds right.
Yeah, so like the not best one. This
Yeah.
one was okay, I guess. But I do remember thinking that it was nice because I think it was one of the first compact cars where you could get like one loaded out like with leather. And so in college, I had a friend who had an EX with leather and hubcaps. And I just thought that was the fanciest thing that you could get leather in a Civic. And now you can get leather in just about anything, I guess.
Yeah.
Or vegan leather, which is actually, I realized this the other day. Vegan leather makes it sound like it's eco-friendly, but it's just plastic, so it's still made from like a petroleum product.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do?
Well,
Yes. So we got some tops. Some
Tops.
tops? Is that what we're calling? That's short for topics.
imagine the time we're gonna save
Saying
by
tops.
by saying tops.
I
Yeah.
think so. But
What is this show called? Another episode?
of
New
for 96. That was meant to be harmonized. I also, I realized too that every time we do that, we're not really confusing anyone because we do have like a whole ass intro where we say new for 96.
We still have to say it though.
Yeah, I guess so. I just did my new for 96 guy voice. But I'm gonna have to auto tune that because that's how the intro is. It's my
Yes.
voice, but it's actually tuned down about like 8 octaves.
Okay, well, you're giving way too many secrets about the show.
Okay. So
Yes,
the Maxima is dead. Did you see that?
I did see that.
Yeah. Do you remember when the Maxima was cool? For a very short period of time.
The four-door sports car.
The four-door sports car was cool, but the previous gen I thought was pretty good too. The boxy one.
Oh, you're previous to that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like the super boxy, absolutely like
Yeah,
80s,
yeah.
no aerodynamics.
I never had one in my life, and I didn't really pay attention to them,
Yeah.
and it was just never on my radar. So it is kind of a blind spot for me.
That is a distinct memory for me because one of our neighbors had one, and I remember how high tech it seemed because it had the talking voice, which was like a tape recorder with just like pre-recorded, like the door's ajar, the door's ajar, or whatever.
Wow.
And it had a keypad, just like a Ford, but like instead of it being just kind of glued onto the side, it was like in the door handle, and it just had like it had an equalizer and like tufted velour seats and whatnot. It just seems so fancy.
Wow.
In period.
Wow.
But anyways, so completely different car from the four-door sports car.
Yeah.
That always seemed very good. I don't know if I've driven one actually, but they were all V6s, which I learned that like later in life, after like way after the fact, from when they were around. But
Yeah.
you get like I think a 2.5-liter V6. I'm probably wrong about that, and then the 3-liter. Do you remember when Nissan had like a unique selling proposition for a car?
Yeah, I mean, in the Maxima, like in the early 2000s, was always like kind of a powerhouse of that weird class that doesn't really exist now.
Yeah,
Like the front wheel drive, like
that one with the coin slot moonroof. I
Yeah,
guess it's
that was cool.
Yeah, that was cool. That
the
was
one before it was cool because that was the first one that
yeah,
had
with
like a
the
powerful VQ. Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. I forgot
There were
about
some
that.
interesting ones. There were never cars I would really want, but they
No.
all were interesting and unique and identifiable.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, yeah, and then like soon after that, like
Yeah.
I didn't hate the one that came after the coin slot one. It was handsome, I guess.
Yeah.
But it was forgettable. And then of course after that, like
Right.
it all just goes to a blur. They all look like the same
and it was
car.
like it seemed like it was priced like a like real luxury car or something.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
into the 40s or something. It was my recollection.
Yeah, I guess so. It would have been an Avalon competitor
Yeah, yeah.
of era, and then, but was the one after the floating roof one, the one that started the floating roof?
Yeah, the one, yes, because the one after, I was at the New York Auto Show when it debuted in like 2015,
Yeah.
and I've seen like 3 since. Like it was a handsome looking car. It was just you just never saw it, and there's no business case for it, and it's just
Like,
weird.
if I was not paying attention and just one like drove by an intersection, I probably wouldn't recognize it as a Maxima.
No, it kind of had like a handsome proportion, like kind of like a bulldog type of stance,
Yeah.
and then I think that the Altima kind of eventually started looking like it. You know, it was just if you saw one on the road in 2015 or 2016, it was a
Yeah.
little bit unique, and then like the Altima started just looking like it. And you know that the Altima is longer than the Maxima.
Yes.
And the Maxima is called Maxima, which you would think maximum. I always thought it was like the biggest
You would
one.
think.
You would
Yeah,
think.
you would think. But
yeah,
not
guess
so
I'm an
much.
idiot.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something about? I'm gonna jump ahead, but this is about when you talk about that high tech car
Yes.
from 1990.
Yes.
I saw a very high tech car from 1990,
Yes.
and I operated a CRT touchscreen.
Oh my
in it.
God. I know what this car is.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna build up for like
Please.
10 seconds, but I was just in Los Angeles with Daniel Sloan. We did some Rivian things, which maybe I'll go into later. But the real action here, when I get to, is we had a cool dinner and beverages thing in Venice with Shaheen and some of his fellow Rivian coworkers. It was very cool, friend of the pod, and we Daniel and I went to the Rivian hub, saw like their base of Venice operations, like
Yeah.
a customer experience center. It's very, very cool. They have like display vehicles and inspirations, and it's a house that is like a really cool. It used to be a house, like
Yeah.
a Ray Bradbury's house or something,
Oh,
is what
wow.
I was told.
Wait, really?
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
was told. But who knows? Daniel said, who knows? So anyway, we go and we went to a place. We had some beers, and Hussein came.
Yes.
Hussein Erturk, photographer, friend, and Tag Christoph came.
Yes, yeah.
And like I said, Sheen and Daniel Golson, and it was really good. And Tag brought his Buick Riata.
Yeah.
And we were all transfixed by this car because
Yes.
we saw it, and it's just like it looks so cool. And then the interior, it's like, especially, I mean, at night, like it was lit by the interior lights.
Yeah.
It just looked like the most supple tan leather.
Yeah.
And
Was
the
it tufted?
CRT, A little bit, and then
Yeah.
it's got the CRT in the center, just like the Riviera, and I think the
Yeah.
Oldsmobile and stuff. Where
They're all basically the same car.
it is just crazy because it's like it's this green CRT, and
Yeah.
you can touch it, and it had the day's date, which is just it's like a real like mind trip,
Yeah.
seeing the date 2022 date
Surprised
in
that
this thing.
they had planned for the car to exist
I know
that long.
and you can, yeah, I know. I'm surprised it didn't get affected by Y2K. But you adjust the volume with like up and down on the CRT,
Just like
for the
today.
radio. Just like today. Yeah, no, I know. Everyone, well, I mean, the Rivian people are like, this is like the inspiration for our car because everything is in the touchscreen, which I might get to.
Yes.
But it was very cool. It was a really fun evening, and that car was really amazing.
I was obsessed with those GM cars that had the touchscreen, and I think maybe it was also there was an Oldsmobile,
Yeah, I remember seeing the Motor Week about the Oldsmobile.
the Oldsmobile, the Riviera, and I don't know if any other ones had that, but I know they had it for like maybe a couple of generations. But in 1990 or the early 90s, just in general, like a touchscreen anything was mind blowing.
Yeah.
And so I remember once my uncle was looking after like a friend's car. This was in Portland, and I saw it out the window, and I was like, "We have to go sit in this right now." And I went and I was like, "Look at this! I'm touching the screen, and like the AC is changing. This is amazing."
Wow.
But I guess all the functions are in there, but like all those functions could have been like reduced to a 1x4-inch LCD, black and white LCD, a monochromatic LCD, but the drama.
Yeah.
So that was very retro futuristic, and they kept it around for a while. I wonder if like those suffer from like burn-in,
Oh,
like old CRTs, like whenever like
Right.
if you ever had.
I wonder if that wasn't really a thing on like the green and black CRTs, because you don't really hear about it on those.
Maybe not. I don't know. Or maybe all the buttons are like in the same place. Like whenever it switches, I wonder if like UI was a word back then. But like when the UI switches, all the buttons are still in
It's
the same place.
barely a word now, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we get rid of it?
Yeah. So the screen on those, I wonder if like people replace those with like modern LCDs nowadays. Like, can you add CarPlay to that? I would love actually monochromatic CarPlay would be kind of fun.
What like the thing is now with hindsight,
Yeah.
it's like you can't look at the CRT, and it's like the round CRT. Like you can't look at this without thinking about how far back it goes. It's like
Yeah.
a tooth, Like if
Yeah.
you were to pull this out of the dash, it'd be like 4 inches deep or something like that, or
It
more.
goes into the engine bay, past the firewall,
exactly.
into the engine bay.
Yeah.
A lot of those JDM cars had CRT touchscreens as well, but they were like a lot of them were color. Like the Celsior had one in period that was
Wow.
color, but they all burn out, and
Oh.
like all of the crucial functions
Oh no.
are in it.
Oh
So
my
I don't know what
God.
you do,
Oh my
but
God.
so I'm glad mine didn't have that
Yeah.
because it surely would have broken.
Yes.
But anyways, that's really cool. Did you get
Yeah.
to drive it?
No. It was
Okay.
we were like departing for the evening, but
Okay.
we all got to like sit in it and mess around.
Yeah.
It was just really cool.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of R named cars,
Yes.
how was the Rivian?
Oh, well, it was really, really good, really impressive.
Explain the trip.
The trip was Daniel Sloan and I were gonna go. He drove to LA and he got a Rivian loaned to him to just see what he thinks of it and drive it around, and then we were gonna take kind of a 3-day trip to Eastern California to the Sierras. And we were gonna be looking for low-flying fighter jets, which didn't really work out. But we did get a lot of cool action with the Rivian, a lot of time with it, a lot of seat time, a lot of charging time, or not a lot of charging time because
Yeah.
we were able to take advantage of their charging stations, which they have 3 in the country,
Yeah.
and 2 are exactly where we were going.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
How
So it's a
convenient.
lot like Tesla superchargers, kind of same place. I imagine they maybe share some wiring or something, or at least once the groundwork is laid, they can. Actually, I don't know. In Bishop, I think it's unique, but they have one in Inyokern and one in Bishop.
Okay.
And we stopped at both of them, and they charge really fast. I mean, it's like a supercharger, and we were the only Rivian there, of course.
Yeah.
This was it's still an early adoption time, I think. on the way out, we stopped at Inyo-Kernighan, and there was a Rivian employee in a Rivian stopping there. And,
Okay.
and he saw our truck, and it was filthy by this point,
Yeah.
which was cool. So
Yeah.
he was really curious. He was excited to see it all like covered in mud and dirt and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, we had a blast with it. We drove through some mud and like gnarly terrain, and we went up this trail, and there was and it's really skinny, like it's really narrow road, it's really rocky, steep, and it's like a drop off on one side, and then mountain keeps going up on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
So it's like one lane, and we see around this corner a Mazda CX-50.
Oh.
And we're like, what is going on? And then behind it was a fully camouflaged Mazda CX-60,
Whoa.
and then a Porsche Macan,
Okay.
and then a Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Yeah.
So they were all Mazda employees, it looked like.
Yeah. That's a weird benchmark set, but
I imagine the Jeep was just like for recovery or something, maybe. Yeah, it was interesting, but it was really cool because we had to get out, and Daniel talked to them about like how we kind of navigate this, because they were coming the other way and we're going up, and it's one lane, so we kind of stopped on one edge.
Yeah.
And they all passed, so
Yeah.
they were a foot away in this camouflage car, which was just cool to see. I mean, it is like revealed, so it's not
Yeah,
a big deal,
yeah.
but it's just I love seeing that kind of stuff.
that's interesting that they were testing, I guess, the off-road capabilities
Yeah, I
of
guess
that
so.
car. 'Cause-
Well, I texted Will about it, and he said excitedly that it is the most powerful Mazda ever made, the CX-60
okay.
ever sold.
Yeah.
I don't think it's coming here, but I think we're getting related platform
Okay,
things.
yeah.
So the Rivian itself, it's
It was an R1T.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the truck. They all, I think, have the same spec, 835 horsepower, and a range of, I think, with our tires, the off-road tires, like 280 miles, which was really impressive, really
Yeah.
good. We never got it stuck or anything. Like, we went through some kind of slippery, nasty stuff, and we're kind of worried about that, but it's crazy just having that much power that if you ever, step on the accelerator, you just have all the torque, more than 900 foot-pounds of torque. The interior is really nice. It's artfully styled, but still utilitarian. Still you're not afraid to like get mud on the floor mats and stuff, because they're kind of made out of this like natural fiber type of stuff, it looked like.
Did this car, was it kitted out with any of like the accessories?
It did not have the accessories. We
Okay.
saw a Rivian on the highway going the other way with the like roof, like trunk, or the bed rails.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I've seen that around Houston too. I've seen
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
At their hub in Venice, they had one with the custom like camper, like the pop-up tent that goes over the bed.
Oh, yeah.
It's really, really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, but about the UI,
Yes.
there's almost no buttons.
Yes.
And I'm like, I know I'm like really old and I'm a boomer, and it's just a little bit maddening because there's like almost nothing on there. So it's just kind of frustrating.
What
And then
if-
if you're looking at the page, so if you're in the center display and you're looking at the page that shows like the terrain modes and stuff, then
Yeah.
you no longer have your map. You no longer have your time to destination, anything like that. Like the screen space is not used very well.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating. And then like I said, the what few buttons there are have to do multiple things.
Okay, yeah.
And it's just insane. Like the steering wheel adjustments position, like there's knobs on the front of the wheel, and those can do multiple things. They can adjust cruise control or other things, or I don't know if it's volume. I don't know. They do every button that's there has to do three things depending on what page you're on or what thing you've engaged, and that is, I just don't like that from a spatial context, like where things are not, things do different things depending on what
I
mode you're in.
tweeted a dumb Photoshop where I took out the screen in a Model 3
Yeah.
and replaced it with a button.
Uh-huh.
And I said, instead of a big screen, why not have just like a single button?
Yeah.
You toggle through all the functions, including left and right signal, and the light tells you whether something is or is not going wrong.
Right.
And that's all you need.
Yeah. But like the air vents are controlled by the screen, the direction of the air vents.
Yes.
And I don't know who benefits from that.
I don't know.
It, like
It seems like on the surface, it's like, oh, that's innovative.
why isn't there like just a little hidden sort of joystick controller to adjust the steering wheel position. You know, like who does that hurt to have that?
Yeah.
And
I mean, I guess it's the big picture. It's reducing. It's not enhancing the user experience, but it's enhancing like the overall.
Yeah.
I guess concept of the car, and that everything can be centralized, but not necessarily for
to the benefit of no one.
Yeah.
I've complained to you about this before, but I think we have been suffering through 20 years of people misattributing like the Steve Jobs era Apple, like quote unquote good design, capital G. Like people have been misappropriating this and misinterpreting this and putting out annoying things in the name of cleanliness that are worse for people. You know, it's like, oh, this is clean. It's like, oh, this isn't fussy because it doesn't have buttons. It's like it's way more fussy because I have to futz with everything in a thing to do anything. And I don't have any confidence when I do any of those things.
Oh no, absolutely.
And that's just like I feel like, and this isn't just, I'm not singling out this one car, I'm not singling out one thing, just it's like globally, like for 20 years it's just things have been getting worse. And I mean, part of it is like more screens, but part of it is like, oh, like this is clean, like we're doing it just like Apple did in 2005. It's like, no, you're not at all.
For like just user experience, all one has to do is think of the worst case scenario and design around that. Because say for instance, when it is 105 degrees outside and you need the AC at max, the last thing you want to do is go through a bunch of screens and then try to get the vents into your face, as opposed to just reaching over to a physical vent and just flicking it towards your face and being done with it.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with everything else, just like volume knobs or like things that you just want to be able to actuate very quickly, because there are situations in which it's really, really, really annoying when you cannot access it very quickly.
Yeah.
So I guess the counter argument to that is that they're going for the average. Like, you're not often in a car that's so hot that you'd need like the vents pointed at your head like instantaneously or whatnot. But I don't know.
Well, and also like I have a like if everything is going to be on the screen, I know a benefit of a screen is that you can change what it displays. You can use that space for other things when it's not relevant. But like so you've got this bottom row that is allegedly in place, like fixed, like your climate adjustments or like localized climate adjustments. If there's no passenger in the seat, that row doesn't have anything on there because there's no passenger. So why would you need passenger climate controls? But then it seems, I mean, maybe I'm totally wrong, but my memory is that it pushes the volume to a different position. Like that just seems too
that
clever.
Would be
it just seems
annoying.
To be too clever by half to like, oh, there's no passenger, so you don't need like passenger climate or all these controls or seat heater controls for the passenger. It's just like, leave it there.
If the UI changes, period, like for like just core functions or just functions that affect like physicality of the car, like heated seats or just the climate or something like that, if it moves around, that would be terrible. Yeah,
well, and the volume, which Shaheen did, I said it moved and he said it doesn't, so I'm probably he knows more than I do, so I could be mistaken that the volume doesn't move, but the interface of volume where you tap to bring up the volume slider and then tap it multiple times or slide a thing, it's just it's like, oh, that is a lot of steps.
But I mean, I know we're like, it is curmudgeonly to complain about.
No, I'm totally a boomer. I know. It's fine. I accept it.
I will say, like, in my 2013 Mercedes, like, I can operate almost every single aspect of the car without looking at it. And it is safer. Like, so my car has, like, the dynamic seats, and even those are designed. So, you know, it's everything from active bolsters to massaging seats to the thigh support. And I think it's 8 or 10 different buttons, and I can literally feel my way through the buttons and activate something in the middle, and I know exactly what it is without looking at it. And I think that is important to be able to do, especially for like core functions, and these are just accessory functions.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, that's not where the industry is headed anyways. So it doesn't really matter.
Thankfully, this is a moot point.
In fact, we're even fucking up buttons, like on the ID4 with the stupid rear window buttons, having to switch it. Like, we're doing buttons wrong now too.
Well, it's because it's what I'm saying. If there is a button, it's like this button has to do 3 things now.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave it on this note of just complaining about this. I will say, like, the way it drove was very impressive, very
Yeah.
cool, very good on the highway. We drove like, 4 hours from LA.
Yeah.
We never had range anxiety because we always planned our stops well and the chargers were good.
Yeah.
And then also, like, it drives off road. Like, it just feels like how I described like a G-Wagon, where it just feels so dense.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels solid. And I've driven pickup trucks at like the Tawa events and stuff. I've driven pickup trucks off road, like
Yeah.
modern pickup trucks, $90,000 King Ranch, whatever, and they always feel kind of juddery or rattly, or
Yeah,
you hear stuff moving
that-
around just
that
because
old body on frame
that old body on frame
architecture,
thing.
yeah.
Do you remember that Nissan commercial with like the Frontier where it's showing it in slow motion? It was like sliding, and the
jiggling.
body is like jiggling,
Yes.
and it's like, why would you show this? Anyway,
Yeah.
the Rivian doesn't. It feels like the opposite of that. It feels very solid, which
I've
is cool.
Not driven one, but like just from the videos I've seen, like just it seems like the chassis seems so impressive.
Yeah.
Like especially like with off-roading, and that's probably not even. I mean, I realize like that is in part the demographic, someone who's going to take it on adventures and whatnot. But a lot of them are probably going to be used in the city. But I guess it's like a Range Rover where you look at it and you just know that this is extremely capable.
Yes. Yeah.
But I'm impressed by what I've seen so far.
Yeah, the place we went for plane spotting. I
Yeah.
will talk about that for a moment, but the place we went for plane spotting, I thought it would just be like, oh, like just drive to this hill and then we're just gonna walk up. But like we drove and it's like the road just gets increasingly degraded to get there, and then it
Yeah.
becomes like mud. And it actually, in where we were in California, it actually rained, which was very unusual. It rained when we got there on the first day.
Yeah.
So it was like everything was muddy. It would have been
That's perfect.
pretty rough in anything else.
Yeah.
Except this. I felt very confident with this car. And also, like, it's like, if you do get, I don't know anything about getting stuck in mud, but
Yeah.
if you get stuck in mud, it seems like all that torque might
Yeah.
help at least make a fun mess. And
it-
Daniel did some really good driving and sliding and,
Yeah.
and
This-
drifts and stuff
it's
also for photos. So.
4 individual electric motors, right?
That's
at each
correct,
corner. And
yes.
so you can do, I don't know if this is like a user accessible like feature, but I've seen them do donuts where you're just doing a perfect circle.
Like the tank thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of that, and I don't know how to engage that, and it was one of those things where I kind of learned about it after and didn't really. It could have been cool for a video or something, but we did not partake in that.
So you saw one plane
We saw 2 planes.
and one hot air balloon drag race.
No, not that one, just the plane. But yeah,
Okay.
we went to this spot and we saw 2 fighters fly over really low. It was incredible. And then it's like, okay, we got to climb up to that spot where we planned on climbing. And we get there and we waited like 3 hours. We didn't see any more. We heard a lot more, but we didn't see any.
Did you blare Danger Zone?
No,
the
I was.
stereo?
Well, yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great trip. And then, like I said, capped off by a really fun night in Venice.
And you'll be back in Los Angeles again
going to
this
San
weekend.
Francisco.
Oh, San Francisco, I should say. California, you'll be
Yes.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. Richmond for Autopia 2099.
Yes.
California North.
It's
which
happening this
is-
weekend, not in 2099.
It is this weekend
Yes.
in 2022.
Yes. Remind the folks what Autopia
It is
2099 is.
it is like Radwood for electric cars.
Yeah.
EV innovation solutions. And we had this event in December in LA, and it was awesome, and people brought all kinds of really cool stuff, like a swapped 1950s Jaguar that converted to electric,
Yeah.
and a Corvair, and like all kinds of things, like
Yeah.
RAV4 electric, all these things that people were excited about, like
Yeah.
the same kind of enthusiasm that we love,
Yeah.
but for these electric cars, and a lot of homebrew stuff or whatever, just people having fun with it and being excited about it, and it's really cool to see.
People are like, the interest is spreading just in this kind of genre in general. A friend of mine who lives in LA, he recently had his 993 totaled, and he has a Range Rover Classic long wheelbase here in Houston that has just been in derelict condition, not operable. And so he was thinking about, instead of getting another 993, having that converted to, like, have it restored and convert it to electric.
Wow.
Which I think would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm not sure how that would work out, like 4-wheel drive. They do this. I've seen it before. There's a
Yeah, I
company.
mean, I guess you could do a dual motor swap. That's probably the most. But I
Yeah.
don't know enough about it.
Yeah, it sounds expensive one way or another.
I'm sure it's
but-
expensive, but
yeah.
yeah, I'm sure it has the room for it.
But that would be really. I think I've seen Range Rover Classic electric conversions before, but I don't know if I saw if it was just like two-wheel drive or a four-wheel drive thing. But that would be very interesting.
Yeah.
But perfect for LA, I suppose. Like I think that would be lifestyle-wise. Maybe a Range Rover Classic is a little more East Coast, a little more New England, but I could see it out in Malibu
Yeah,
or some such
Yeah,
thing.
totally.
Yeah. So that's exciting, and
for sure.
this may air after the event. However, if it does air before, people can get tickets at the website.
Yeah, autopia29.com. We have an Eventbrite. There's if you find us on social media, you'll definitely find a link to get tickets.
Okay. And there we have it.
So I do have on the thing. I do have this like really.
Yes.
It sounded like a good idea at the time, but I have this like tiny Volvo anecdote.
Yes.
Actually, no. Yeah. Okay. I'll do this first. So I went to Volvo headquarters. I shot this event for them.
Yep.
But in the meeting before this, I was talking to the people from Volvo, from an agency, from their products, like, and very like extremely cool people that love Volvo, people are passionate, and
Yeah.
they're going through like these are kind of the designs we want to highlight. We kind of want to show these designs over the years. We've got all this rich history. We want to show like the C30, the cool hatchback. Show the C30. We want to make sure to capture that and kind of show the similarities to the P1800. We want to capture this, and there's going to be a C70 coupe. We hope we'll see a C70 coupe. We want to capture those. I'm like, I love those. And then I somehow mention, and I'm like, oh, like. Have you ever seen the movie The Saint, which starring Val Kilmer from like 1996?
Yeah.
It's like, who hasn't? And I was like, that was like
I
like
haven't.
Volvo paid to be in that movie
Yeah.
with an orange C70. And then I was like, I stopped myself because I was like, okay, I'm losing them, and they do not care about this. And it's not that the thing was, it's not that they definitely care about Volvo. They
Yeah.
just don't care about this thing, or maybe they do, or maybe the nerdery of me is getting into Spectrum territory. That's a little weird. I'm
Did you see
weirding
him
people
like
out.
pushing a panic button on
Yeah,
his lanyard?
But like, I left out the part where it's like, oh, but this would have been interesting. I
Yeah.
left this out, so I'm sharing this here.
Yes.
But in that movie, like, so The Saint was like a TV series in the 60s.
Yes.
And I think he had this theme that was like do 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 do, and they had, as Val Kilmer drives by at the very end of the movie, the denouement.
Yeah.
He drives by and he honks the horn because he has like foiled his enemy. Like his
Yeah.
enemy is foiled, and he's shaking his fist. And
Yeah.
he drives by in the C70, and he hits the horn, and it honks.
It is a
The
musical
Saint
horn.
theme. It is a usable horn that honks like like it's like honks it. It's crazy, and I'm like, this is insane. Like, this is product placement, and they modified the horn, and it's insane.
That is
And this
insane.
is how the movie ends.
That is insane.
It is.
It is. It could have ended without that. And
It could have
would
ended
been
without that,
fine.
but this is like this is such integral product planning.
I was hoping that you
Product
were going to
placement.
say that as soon as you mentioned that, he reached into the C70 nearby, pushed the horn,
Oh
and
my god, that would
it
have been
played
amazing.
the theme.
That would have been amazing.
But alas, that musical horn option was not
Yeah.
optioned. So
Okay, so I'm going to complain about a different electric car real
Yes.
briefly.
Yes.
I shot right before my LA trip. I shot a Tesla Model X,
Uh-huh.
and for a customer for an
Yes.
auction. And this is just a general complaint that doesn't apply to any other electric cars, maybe. But when you take a picture of a car, because the car I had shot just before this was like an Alfa Romeo GTV6, which is like a great car, and it's like fun to drive, but the interior is just so cool. Every button is so unique, every dial, everything. And then this Tesla Model X, I mean, not only the interior is ugly, but everything's just on the screen. So it's like, oh, I'm going to show the mileage. And it's like, well, I go to this screen,
Yeah.
and it's like, here's the system info. But
Yeah.
and it's just,
You're
it
taking a picture of a
sucks.
computer.
You're taking
Sure.
you're taking a picture of a computer. I'm not even complaining about taking pictures of screens and how much that sucks, but just like that the odometer is like on this software update screen.
Yeah.
It's like when you go on your Mac to About This Mac, that's the screen you go to in a
Yeah.
Tesla, literally, and it's like software version this.
Yeah.
Odometer this, and it's like, version this, and it's just like it sucks what we're losing.
Yeah.
That's just all I'm saying. Is it sucks? It sucks what we're losing. Like we're losing odometers. We're losing everything of interest. Like everything that makes a car unique is just going to be software, and I hate it.
It sucks for us and our kind, and it is exactly, I think, what the people that are generally targeted for this type of vehicle love, because it is not like, your father's Oldsmobile with the like mechanical odometer, or even like an LED one or something. Like, this is so different. It's like your laptop. It's like an Apple product, except that it's not. But this is what wows people, that you can, people like the frustration of like having to operate everything through a screen. 12-year-old me would have loved that. Like, I loved the Newton. I had a Newton, and it was the most frustrating early touchscreen device to use, but I did it. Like, I worked through it because it was just, I don't know, it was the spectacle of doing everything through a screen. I don't know if there's going to be like a reversal of any of this. Sometimes people do add buttons back in, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Looking at like the Mercedes EQS and that giant hyper screen, which actually I don't think looks that cool. It's a very expensive option. It's like a $7,000, something like that option.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen it, right? Like it's 3 separate screens that are kind of vignetted. So it's not actually like one huge screen, really. It's just 3 screens that are vignetted together that creates like a dashboard wide thing. That doesn't seem like it doesn't seem appealing to me, just because like it's not like sci-fi futuristic where it is like
right, where it's like this seamless fluid thing that's like. Yeah.
Where I would almost like put up with the spectacle of that.
Where there's like a pulsating gradient that you can touch and drag around and move and stuff.
This is really just like 3 screens that are kind of stitched together. So it's like, okay, I guess. We're getting there. Or this is like where we're going. Where like the dashboard will be like the what is the Honda EV, the cute one?
The
Honda E, where like it is just like it's multiple screens, but they're all separated.
Yeah.
But it's kind of wrap around. And I don't know. If anything at all, like, not just because I'm a Porsche fan, but like when they do like the wraparound screens, at least they're kind of separated. And if you're gonna have multiple screens, let's not pretend that it's one big screen. Let's just go ahead and separate them.
Well, Porsche has plans to make some like wraparound.
I know
multiple screens connected or something.
The dashboard designs of like current day Porsches, I can kind of see how that's going to work. Like they're going to make it seamless.
Well, the screen in the Taycan is really cool. Like the dials, dials are very cool. The curved glass.
Yeah, but I like that it's separate and it's unique. It's not just like they shoved in a rectangular LCD into like a hooded thing.
Right.
But it is the future.
Yeah. So
not for us, but eventually we're going to have to. One day, you and I are both going to own an EV at some point in time, I'm sure, in our lives.
Yeah.
Yours might be an EV converted IS300. And
Daniel and I, it's just funny because like Daniel and I were talking about on this trip, we talked so much about the Ioniq 5.
Yeah.
How it's like seems like an EV that could fit our needs.
Yeah.
I am not like the thing that makes it tough with EVs is like you and I and many enthusiasts generally buy like an older car, and it's like you can't buy an older EV because it's just not tenable. No. So you have to buy the latest and greatest, and even that might not fit your needs because it might not be good enough.
Yeah,
because you know what I mean. And so the Ioniq 5 is like a sub $90,000 EV that can do the bare minimum that a car should do.
Yeah.
Like be able to drive, say, to Dallas.
Yeah.
Which sucks, but is a reality. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about a road trip. I'm talking about like this is a practical 240-mile drive that people have to do that I have to do multiple times a year.
Yeah. Which that for me, like a city EV works, and I kind of wish they would make more interesting city EVs.
Well, yeah, I wish there was more like low-cost EVs or smaller EVs.
Yeah,
but
or to say like just like an i3. I wish that had kind of continued and evolved into something. Because like that to me is kind of a perfect EV,
right?
For me at least. And it was an interesting design.
Yeah.
And it wasn't trying to wow you with technology either. I mean, it was kind of funky in a good way. The interior and just the industrial design exercise was unique. And I kind of like, I wish we had gone there with that path a little bit instead of like trying to make, instead of just trying to make
Wait,
like
so are you saying the solution, the future isn't $100,000 luxury EVs with their own proprietary, yet more proprietary chargers?
it's hard to say, really.
Okay,
It's hard
okay,
to say.
okay.
And actually, I have no idea. Like, well, I've never driven an iX. I'm sure it's fine, but boy, did they like go a completely different direction with that. Every single manufacturer at this point, I suppose,
Yeah.
just nearly. But
Yeah.
oh well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So,
continue to drive these like terrible cars that we drive now
Yes.
currently. Speaking of which,
Oh, yes.
you have something here that says wagons. Are they always better?
Yeah, I was just talking aesthetically.
Oh, okay.
I'm not here to prove wagons are good.
Sometimes I think they're much better resolved. Not always, but I think
Right. Well, I think a lot of times they are. And then there's ones that we don't like. Like we don't like the E36
no,
Touring.
that is not a well resolved wagon design.
And
Nor
you lose like some of the best parts of the E36 design.
same with for me, I'm controversial, I guess. The E30 Touring, I don't think is a very attractive wagon design either.
Oh, I like it. I
Neat
like it.
story, I guess, with the liftover.
The beer keg.
Yeah, with the beer keg. But
I like it. I like it.
it's okay. It's better than the E36.
Yeah.
And W210, also bad wagon variant. in
Yeah,
my
because I
opinion.
think it's one of the most perfect sedans ever made.
Yeah, much to some people's chagrin.
Everyone's.
I like the shape.
I love the shape. I
It's-
love how it is like the perfect, like rounded,
Yeah.
boxy. Just
As-
it's like so. There's something so satisfying about the way that like the trunk roundness is. I think this is what prompted this topic was because, wagons we often think are better, but like sometimes you just lose something. And I know we talked about this, and I think we disagree. Like the E34 wagon sedan,
Yeah.
I think it is like one of the perfect looking sedans.
I do too. However, I think that the wagon is also one of the most perfect wagon shapes.
What about E39?
Ooh, honestly, not better looking than the E34 because I think that is just so like tight.
No.
But I think it's good looking as a wagon. Better than the sedan. That's tough because I couldn't choose and say like one looks better than the other.
Yeah, I think it's like the front of the E39 I think is like one of the best looking sedans ever, and
Yeah.
I think the rear is a little soft and doesn't look
I
the best,
agree.
and that's on both the wagon and the sedan. And I just remember after spending a week with the M3 Brew, like on maybe the first trip in
Yeah.
2019 when he got it, and after spending a week basically with a rough wide body E46 wagon.
Yeah.
Like seeing E39 wagons in Portland, just it seems so kind of like big and doughy
Yeah.
compared because the E46 wagon, it kind of is more like the E34 wagon, where
Yeah,
it's
a little bit
tighter
Yeah.
and a little sleeker and lower profile.
Yeah, I do think it helps on both if it is just a higher spec. Like if it's a base spec, it definitely doesn't help because in the E39 because if it has like small wheels, like under
Right.
scale wheels, it looks especially puffy.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think like in 540i trim or like in M5 conversion trim, like I think it does look pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. It's
So-
not bad. It's not bad. It's not
Yeah.
like the E36.
Yeah. I will say, like, then moving on, like, another generation, like, obviously I'm biased with the E91. I do think that is a well-resolved, like, design. But even the E61, I think I think that looks better than the sedan.
Okay, yeah.
And I think it's a really well-resolved car. Again, it has to be in kind of maybe a higher trim spec. Like, that looks amazing as an M5 spec, which we didn't get here, but I think it looks really good.
Yeah, with those cool like bumpers and
Yeah.
like lower valences.
Yeah, but after that, the F series,
Couldn't tell
3
you.
series is
Couldn't tell
it's
you.
fine.
Couldn't tell you.
It's fine. And then I guess we didn't get the 5 series wagon here after that, so who's to say? I don't know. Actually, I don't think I've ever looked it up. I'm sure it's in Europe. Now the Mercedes wagon, to me the only flop was that era of Mercedes that we were just talking about. Well, no, I guess it's 2 different eras. so the 210 era, and then the C-Class wagon that came just after that era of the 210. I forget. I think it's a 20,
204?
maybe 204,
I think
203,
so.
204, something like that. So, but
Like the
the blobby
C63
eye.
one. Oh, no, no.
No,
Okay,
no,
that's
the blobby
I think
eye.
that's the 202 or 3.
Yeah. Okay. So the
203.
blobby eye, like the early 2000s one.
Yeah.
So that was not a good looking sedan to begin with,
Right.
and the wagon looks even more atrocious. So, but you could get, I think, both in a stick.
Okay. Yeah, you could.
Yeah, so that was kind of neat, I guess. But I've heard that those I've never driven a stick Mercedes, and I hear that those are just not great to begin with.
I've only
so.
driven one from 1962.
Okay, well there you go. So I don't know that much has changed in terms of that. So because I think those are like basically used in like taxis and extremely base models in
Yeah.
Europe. But again, biased. But I think that the 211 wagon is extremely well resolved, just because of like the size of the car makes it look so grand. I'm sorry, the 212.
Yeah.
What I have, but 211 actually I don't think
I know, I like it too because it's got the good taillights.
it has a
from the
good tail.
210.
And you hate the sedan.
I do. Dislike
Yeah,
the
but you
sedan.
like the wagon.
I like the wagon.
Yeah, there you have it.
What do you think about Sport Cross?
Sport Cross is good.
I mean, I am biased and I love the way it looks. Like, I love the differences. Like, I think it has its own kind of cool
Okay.
character. But I do realize that the sedan, like the rear of the sedan, I think is iconic.
Yes, but I think that again, we'll just use the word tightness. Well,
Yeah.
okay, well, this sounds obscene, but the tightness of the rear
Mm-hmm.
is what makes it. And I think I'm going to come up with a theory here. A wagon needs that kind of like that very kind of not pinched, but like tight rear end, or it needs to be really long and grand. It cannot be in between. I think that's where things get lost
I
in
see.
the design. So like
I
a
see.
medium, like the C-Class, early 2000 C-Class wagon is just like in between and kind of blobby. And I think it had more cargo room than the 3 Series, so the E46 3 Series touring at the time. But the E46, it was smaller and it was more intentful of a design. It wasn't designed, I think, with like maximum cargo capacity in mind. Instead, like it compromised with the design to make it look good.
Yeah.
That is my theory. It needs to be kind of small and tight, or it needs to be long. Okay, this is really sexual.
Dear
So,
God. This is a family.
anyways,
All
yes,
right. Well, earlier tonight,
yes.
I shot a Ferrari Mondial.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And what? Okay, so what color was it?
Red.
Okay.
Red over tan.
Yeah.
Which this is like an unpopular opinion, but like I totally get. Because whenever I shoot one of these cars in red over tan, like the tan just looks so good in pictures.
Yeah.
Like you warm it up and it looks even better and it looks
just-
amazing. And the red looks really good, especially I didn't actually go out and shoot this in a park like against trees, but the last red Ferrari I shot against the trees, like the red stands out so much against nature that
Yeah.
it looks incredible. Like a a cooler color would not have popped
Yeah.
as well. The red just photographed so well. So, but this one, it kind of looked like rain, so I didn't go very far with it.
Yeah.
But it was very, very cool.
I really like them. I've never driven one, but when you drove it, was it as disappointing as you thought it would be?
No, because I came into it with like a little bit of disappointment.
Yeah.
Not disappointment. Disappointment is not
The
what
bar was low.
low expectation.
Yeah.
And it revs really fast.
Okay.
And it sounds really good.
Ooh.
And it's a dog leg, which is always interesting.
Yeah.
But it revs very freely.
Yeah.
And it sounds incredible. Like it's,
Yeah.
it's
And
a
gated
good
shifter.
car. Gated shifter, with the dog leg and down and up for reverse.
Yeah.
And it's great.
So a sense of occasion
A sense of
was
occasion.
there.
A struggle I had that I noticed about the car
Yes.
with photographing it that I kind of thought about now is like I've never been a critic, never been a big fan, but I've never been a huge critic of the Mondial. I was just kind of indifferent.
Yeah. It's neat.
This-
You don't ever want one, but it's neat.
Yeah, it's neat. When I was a kid, my dad's boss had a convertible one.
Oh, wow.
Um,
That would be maybe the most disappointing one of them all, but
like the 308 GT4, there's a lot of people that don't like the way it looks.
Yeah.
But when I shot it, it looked so good. Like
Yeah.
it looked really good. It looked good in its own way. And this one, I'm not sure that it does that. And I think the problem I have is the roof line on the hardtop looks like it follows like a convertible top roof line. Like
I
there's a
guess
real
so.
no, I'm telling you, like
Yeah.
there's a real separation. There's like a real break to where
Yeah.
it meets the body and the profile.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't have this like interesting integration. The 308 GT4 has this like amazing like C-pillar into
Sure.
body shape, and
Yeah.
this kind of just like runs into the body and then stops.
Yeah,
And the
and
body
then it goes flat on
Yeah,
the
it goes
trunk.
flat. And so when you get low, it just looks like it's like a fixed hardtop or something, or it just I don't know. It's that works on some cars, but I don't know if that's what I want in a Ferrari.
Yeah.
And so you're shooting it. I'm looking at the camera. I haven't edited the pictures or anything. I just shot them tonight, but looking at the photos while I was shooting them, I was like, this looks like something else
Yeah.
of that era that's not of this high caliber. You know, you kind of, your mind goes to other places where you're like, oh, this doesn't look befitting of a Ferrari. That's just me. And it seems like when you go to my usual angles and perspectives and get low, do whatever, it like works less well than another car. So that's just my observation now. But it was a joy to drive. It was faster than I expected.
Really?
Not faster, but like I said, it revved faster.
Yeah,
You know,
it
so
felt
you could
quick.
just wind it up in first and second, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is great.
Okay, interesting. I like it's just one of those cars where like I like them. I'm fascinated by them. I don't have any desire to own one,
Yeah.
but I don't. My first inclination is that like, oh, well, this is like one of the lesser desired
Sure,
Ferraris
yeah.
of that era. I mean, I'm sure they're going up in value now, much like anything old and slightly interesting is, but I'm glad it exists. Like, it's such an interesting, optimistic exercise from
Yes.
that era.
Yeah.
So-
And this was a Euro one.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
What is the difference?
I don't know.
Okay.
It was in
You could tell how
kilometers.
fast you were going. Yeah.
It was in kilometers, and it has like yellow. It had like yellow fogs next to the parking lights or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yellow fogs are always
Yeah, it was pretty
a
cool.
good move.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there you go. What if we
Mm-hmm.
play
Mm-hmm.
another game of FMK?
Are you talking about Fuke? Marry Kill?
That's the one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
I'm
we
into
do the year new for 1985?
85.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So, rules of the game.
Okay.
Why don't you explain?
Oh, well, I choose 3 cars for you from 1985. We're looking at the link, which we'll share in the description, but new cars for the year 1985 on Wikipedia. I will pick 3 cars for you. We'll go through the list of them. I'll pick 3 cars for you. You pick 3 cars for me, and then we choose one to Fuke, Marry, Kill, which means drive once, daily, and send to the crusher.
Yes. All right. So, 1985. What do we have here on the menu? The Alba AR6, no idea what that is. We'll skip over that. Alfa Romeo 75. Oh dear. Auto Bianchi Y10.
Bentley Turbo R.
Turbo R. M5 came out this
Ooh,
year.
that's the E28?
Yeah. Chevy Astro. Important vehicle.
Yeah.
Maybe. Consulier GTP. Oh yeah.
It's ugly.
Cougar C12.
We've seen those at Redwood and such.
Yeah, I do remember that actually. The Dodge Lancer, I don't even know what that is, but that sounds like we had it here. Well, that doesn't
can't
seem
be
to be it.
Well,
Oh, okay.
okay, it's a LeBaron.
It's basically
another
a
K car.
LeBaron. Ferrari 328. Ooh, the 412.
Ooh, a 412.
Fiat Chroma. Don't know what that is.
Oh, wait, can you click on the Ford Aerostar when we get to it?
Yes. Okay, so this looks like it was also a Lancia or something. One of those cars. Don't know what the Fiat Duna. Ford Aerostar.
Okay, the early ones had the grill, like the badge at
Yes.
the top of the grill, and that really upset me. Have I talked about this on the pod before?
You have talked about this off and on the podcast before.
It bothers
haunts
me
your
so
dreams.
much.
Yeah, it haunts your dreams.
me. It's bad, right? Like as a kid, this really upset me.
I don't think I noticed it. My dad had an Aerostar like in like 1990 or something, and I don't know that I paid attention to it just because it was an Aerostar. But so Kevin is
Paid
talking
attention
about.
to every normie car ever, and
I
then
know.
you won't even look at the front of this.
So Kevin is talking about how in the Early Aerostars, the Ford badge, was smack dab in the middle of the grill. And in the later years, I guess the 90s, late 80s, 90s, it was then relocated to top center. So it was like right below the hood in the center, in between the headlights. And so maybe that was part of their design language. I don't know. Like at the time, were other cars like that?
No.
No, the Explorer.
I don't know.
I think the Explorer at the time
Oh,
also had.
it didn't bother me there.
Okay.
I can't explain why.
I'm sure like the F-150, or maybe the F-1. In my brain, I feel like the F-150 had a centered, whatever. Anyways, the Ford Scorpio. This is like a weird car. Have you seen this before?
That
Like
can't be the 85 version.
No, I guess it's not the 85 version. This is the 85 version. No, it's 89 version. I don't know.
Wow.
85. But it had the flush headlights. That's very fancy. Anyways, we didn't get that. The Taurus, first generation. Significant. A bunch of a Holden Barina. Ooh, no, that's terrible. The Honda Integra and the Honda Legend.
Ooh, the Legend.
And the Honda Today.
Honda Today.
Do you think they just sounded like a fancy name to name a car?
It was named after the show.
Yes. Well, get out. Okay, so the Hyundai Excel, the Hyundai Sonata,
Wow. Racist.
Jeep Comanche, Lancia Delta S4.
Ooh, that's a cool one.
Okay, Maruti Suzuki Gypsy. Wow, that's a name. Oh, it's like a little samurai thing.
Pajero thing.
Yeah. Merkur XR4 Ti.
Wow.
I know. I love that name. Mitsubishi Magna. We did not get this, but I'm sure it's just like a early Galant or something. It looks like a Galant. I think it might have been. Okay. Naylor TF 1700.
We don't need to click every one that you've
All
never
right,
heard
all
of.
right. Okay, the Pathfinder, Cutlass Calais. Don't even know.
Cutlass Cialis.
Yep. Peugeot 309, Premier 118NE. Ooh, pretty name. Proton Saga first generation. Seat Malaga.
What's the Subaru XT?
Don't you remember the XT? It was just kind of like a little coupe
Oh,
sports car. This is like the precursor.
To the SVX?
Yeah, to the SVX, I guess. Carina ED. I think we had this as maybe a Camry or a Cressida. Oh, it looks like kind of like a Cressida. Okay, we did not get the Alter 4x4, nor did we get the, I assume this is a Soviet, ZIL 41047. Also a very pretty name.
All right. So.
All right, you choose for me.
All right, let me.
Dear God.
Wow.
That was not a fart, although you could not repeat that sound if you tried.
Okay. I'm going to give you
Mm-hmm.
a Ferrari 412,
Mm-hmm.
BMW M5, and Ford Taurus, first generation.
Wow. Okay. Ooh. Well, I guess I'm gonna Fuke 412.
Okay.
Oh. Now the next two, that's a hard one because the importance of the Taurus is it weighs heavy on me. So, but I'm probably gonna I'm gonna be logical on this. I'm gonna marry the M5 and kill the Taurus.
Oh my God.
You didn't say which
Wow.
Taurus though. It wouldn't matter if it was the show or not.
I don't think I don't think it was the show because I don't think that was like a first year thing. Was it?
No, I think it came out in
Like 88?
89,
Oh, okay.
88 or 89, something like that. So, okay then. For you,
Oh boy.
should I just choose all the ones that we don't know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me the
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I'll give
puke
you
the
the alter. Okay, so I'm gonna give you then.
We'll add in like the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire music.
Okay, I am going to give you the Hyundai Sonata.
Okay, can I see a picture of that Sonata?
This was the boxy one.
Okay,
So the first gen looks like that.
I've never seen that in my life.
We had it here, I believe. Okay, so the Hyundai Sonata, Can I pick? No, okay. Ford Aerostar,
Oh.
or why don't we round it out with the Oldsmobile Cutlass Calais?
Oh, can
Or
I see the Cutlass Cialis?
yes, it will just look like
Oh God.
NGM car of the era. So I don't know what you were expecting. There you go.
What was the Oldsmobile that was like luxurious from like 91 that we argued because I always thought I had thought Cutlass Supreme was the top and you were like, no, it was actually
It was the
this.
Toronado.
Was the Toronado, it continued to 90s?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this Astro, is it, the badge is definitely in the center?
The badge, the bow tie is likely in the center. Yes.
Likely.
Yeah.
All
So,
right.
oh, there you. It's huge. And
No,
it's-
no, I said Aerostar.
Oh, you said Astro, but
Oh wait, but you gave me Aerostar
but 85 is
early.
the early year, so
Okay.
it's smack dab.
All right. I'm going to fuke the the Aerostar because it's the early one, and kill the Oldsmobile and M the Sonata because it would probably still be on the road.
Even though you've never actually seen one.
I've never seen one. That's
Yeah.
excitement.
Wow. I have to say to those selections, I can't believe I didn't expect it to go that way. What another exciting episode of Fuke, Marry, Kill. Boy, we went high and low with that one. Anyways, I believe that's what we call a podcast. Thanks for listening. Are you now regretting your choices?
The shot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, a
well,
little
yeah, also that. But
Yeah.
yes. Again, thanks for listening to this episode of New for 96. Do follow us on Instagram, Twitter, all the same.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't say the handle, at New for 96. So,
We're at New for
yeah.
96.
Email
Yeah.
us if you must.
Please rate and review. Tell people not to listen. Make sure that people don't listen.
Or if you hate them, tell them to listen. Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully you have more enemies than friends, like us. Anyways, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Goodbye.